What's up, guys? In this video we shall be talking about exponents, as you guys saw it in the thumbnail. Now, before trying to talk about indices or exponents, it is essential for us to understand the rules and moreover few hints also. See, you guys might solve 1,000 problems on this, but if you're not well versed with the rules, what's the whole point? Okay, so initially for the first 5 to 6 minutes, let's talk about only mastering the rules and all the things which are surrounding that specific concept. And once we're done with that, we'll start with few questions. In this video, I'll take only few examples, maximum 3 to 4 examples, and the actual questions for this specific chapter will be posted in the next video. But that won't make any sense if you guys are not focusing here. So let's start off with the first rule. Now, obviously, what do you mean by exponents? There has to be two components. Okay, one will be called as the base. The next one will be called as the power. It's very important for us to know. So in your textbook, it is usually represented as a to the power m. The power obviously is nothing but m. The a is nothing but called as base. So base and power, two things are essential components which make up something called as exponents. So what does rule number 1 say? Rule number 1 is also called as product rule. All those things are there, but let's ignore the names, okay? Because let's focus only on what the rule says us. Rules teach us. So rule number 1 goes like this. If the bases are same and there's a multiplication sign in between, we add the powers. I'll repeat that automatically with the writing part now. If the bases are same and there's a multiplication sign in between, look at this. Base in the first component is a, second component is also a, but the powers are different. We don't care about it. That case, what do? If the bases are same and there's a multiplication sign in between, there's a dot here, we add the powers. So you write the base only once. Yeah, the answer for that will become m plus n. I'll give an example right now. A to the power 7 dot a to the power 9. Look at this. The bases are same and there's a multiplication sign in between. So we what the powers? We add the powers. So a becomes 7 plus 9. We obviously add. It becomes a to the power 16. This will be your first answer. Okay. Rule number 1. I hope you guys understood. Rule number 2. Almost the same thing. A small difference here. We'll change the sign in between. So right now the bases are same, but there's a division sign in between. So we subtract the powers. That's it. Almost the same, one small change in the sign here. So there was a multiplication sign in the previous rule. Here that becomes the division. Okay. So it becomes a to the power m minus n. So right now let's say a to the power 9 by a to the power 7. Check. Are the bases same? Yes, they are same. Now what sign in between? Division sign in between. So we want the powers. We subtract the powers. So a to the power 9 minus 7. The answer is a square. Okay. Now, is this step of writing 9 minus 7 essential? Initially, yes. Once you guys are well versed with it, then not required. Okay. Rule number 3. Okay. It goes like this. A to the power m to the power n. So I'll read this. Power raised to another power. If you see, I'm not using the word base only here because common sense, there's only one base here. If it is power raised to another power, then we multiply the powers. Okay, so we'll cross check. If it is power raised to another power, m to the power n, then we multiply the powers. So we keep the base as it is, so it becomes mn, m into n. Again, I'll take the same example. A to the power 9 to the power 7. Only one base, so I'll copy the base as it is. Power raised to another power. 9 is raised to 7 here. So we multiply the powers. So it becomes 9 times 7, which is nothing but 63. Okay, these are the rules. The fourth one, more like a hint it is, anything power 0. Any base, the base might be 1 lakh, 1 crore. It might be 100 crores. But if the power becomes 0, then the answer for that will always be 1. Always 1. More like, it's not like a rule, but it can be applied. Okay. Now, these are the rules that's obviously there in your textbook also. But will this be used to solve questions? Majority, yeah. But what happens here is when you're trying to apply these specific rules, you're supposed to know a few more things. I'll tell you what right now. Please focus. This part might be slightly confusing. Now let's take a look at this, the first question here. If you look at the power here, it says 2 by 3. This is your hint number 1. If the power is a fraction, then the hint is always the denominator. Okay. If the power is a fraction, then the hint is always the denominator. So in the first part, the hint is 3. In the second part, the hint is 2. Remember that. Okay. So what am I talking about right now? Why is this important? I'll tell you when I'm trying to solve this. But if it is a fraction in the power, the denominator is your hint. Now, 4 rules done. 5th rule, if the power is minus, we shift the base. We move the base. So it was a to the power minus 1. So in order to make it a positive power, the base only gets shifted, gets flipped. Okay. So from now onwards, if I keep using the word flip, it means I am trying to flip the base. Now, common mistake what people do. Let's say a to the power minus 1 is nothing but 1 to the 1 by a. Okay. Now, what if I ask you the question as a to the power minus 3? Will it become 1 by a cube or will it become 1 by a to the power minus 3? Always understand, I am trying to flip only to make the power positive. I'll repeat that. I am trying to flip only to make the power positive. What is flipping? What is flipping? Only the base flips. Remember this. Only the base flips. Once the base flips, the power becomes positive. Okay? Or in other language, if the base flips, the power, the sign of the power changes. Remember this. So here if you see a to the power minus 1, the base flipped. Therefore, the power became plus 1. Here this is wrong obviously. A to the power minus 3 is nothing but 1 by a cube. If you see, I flipped the base, automatically the power also became positive. You might obviously ask me a question. What about 1 cube? 1 cube is anyways 1. Therefore, I'm not writing it separately. I hope you guys are smart enough to understand that. Okay. So now let's see. And the reason I taught you guys this minus thing is because it's very important for us to understand, because a lot of people keep flipping over the minus itself. Okay. So let's not get into that. Now, and most importantly, I thought that minus because if you guys can see the first question properly, the second part deals with it. Fine. Now, if I ask you just by looking at the question, can we all agree that the bases are same? Obviously no. That's called dumbness. 27 by 125 and 9 by 25, are they same? Obviously no. But let's not get into the rules of it right now. Let's try to solve whatever we guys know. So 27 by 125 is there, but right now I told you it is the power is a fraction. If it's a fraction, the hint is the denominator. Now what do I mean by this? The hint here is number 3 as the power. Try to convert whatever is there in the base in terms of cubes. I'll repeat that. Try to convert whatever is there in the base in terms of cubes. So if I ask you a question, what 27 is what cube? The answer is 3. What cube is 125? 5. So can I write the base as 3 by 5 cube? Okay. This is the answer for inside the bracket. Outside the bracket, the power was there as it is. Now do you realize as to whatever I meant by telling if it is a fraction as the power, then the denominator is the hint. Now the 3 gets cancelled with the 3. That's what I meant. Okay. Now the into remains as it is. Right now, see, I'll tell you one thing here. The power is a minus. I am not comfortable. In order to make the power flip, okay, in order to make the power positive, what do? I'll have to flip. Flip the what? Flip the base. So in order to make the power positive, can I tell it becomes 25 by 9, but it becomes 3 by 2 without the minus. So if you see, I am not flipping the 3 by 2. I'm keeping the 3 by 2, the power as it is. I'm flipping only the base. Once the base flips, the sign changes. Now, again, the same old hint here. If it's a fraction as the power, then the denominator is your hint. So in this case, 2 is your hint. Ask yourself a question. But before that, okay, 3 by 5 square remains as it is. Into also remains as it is. 25, okay, fine. What square is 25? Now, why is it square? Because 2 is the hint there. What square is 25? 5 square. What square is 9? 3 square. So, it becomes 5 by 3 to the power 2 into 3 by 2. 2 and 2 gets cancelled. Okay. Now, there are two ways of solving the question. If you see, the bases are almost the same. Okay. If you see, the bases are almost the same. So, what do? The first base I keep as it is. I am trying to make the bases same. Now, careful. After the 2 and 2 got cancelled, only the 3 was remaining. Now, don't get me wrong, because I am trying to flip it because we flipped it before only. No. The main reason as to why I am flipping it right now is because in order to make you guys understand, I am trying to make the bases same. Okay. 3 by 5 is what is the first thing. First part. Can I make 5 by 3 as 3 by 5? Yes. What do? I flip the base. Once I flip the base, what happens to the power? The sign changes in the power. So it becomes minus 3. Okay. So I hope you guys have no confusion with that. Wantedly I did this. Twice I flipped it so that you guys get to know the concept of it. Now if you see, bases are same. Multiplication sign in between. So we what the powers? We add the powers. You write the base just once again. So 2 plus of minus becomes a minus 3. So the answer is 3 by 5 to the power minus 1. So again, if you see, you are getting the answer in terms of a minus power. If you can keep it like that, no problem. If you do not want the answer to be in terms of minus power, how do you make the power positive? Or how do you change the sign of the power? By flipping the base. So the final answer is 5 by 3. Now don't judge me, but because I flipped the same question thrice. That is only to make you guys understand. Okay. So the answer for the final answer for this will be 5 by 3. I hope you guys got the rules and the first question out of it. Second question. Wantedly I chose a difficult one. Difficult looking question at least. Because if you see, there are two parts. I've underlined both of them. And both the parts have minus, minus, minus. Done. All the 3 parts in fact. So what do? Let's go step by step. The minus 1 here is the first complete bracket, which means I do not want the sign to be negative. Therefore, I flip the base. Common sense. So it becomes 1 by the complete bracket. The complete bracket was a plus b. Okay. Into was there as it is. I'll open another bracket. Now, if you see in the second bracket, inside there was a plus. Keep the plus as it is. A inverse becomes 1 by a. B inverse becomes 1 by b. Okay. So therefore, in the first part, I cannot simplify it further. Why? Because there's only one part. And the part is 1 by a plus b inside bracket. Cool. I'll put an into as it is. Now the second part can be simplified. How do I know that? There are 2 parts. Wherever there are 2 parts and you're trying to make it as 1, we obviously take LCM. How do you take LCM? You multiply the bases, you multiply the denominators. It becomes a into b. You crisscross. It becomes b plus a. Can I write b plus a as a plus b? Common sense. What is 2 plus 8? 10. What is 8 plus 2? 10. Similarly, I'll write it as a plus b. Now what's happening? In both the parts, a plus b part gets cancelled. What remains is 1 by ab. This is your final answer. I know that I'm going a little faster. Can't help. Time constraint. If you guys feel that I'm going faster, rewind it and watch it. But if you see, the type of question that I've chosen for the examples are complicated ones. Okay. Can it get more complicated based compared to this? I would say a no, because if you are well versed with the rules and as to how to flip the thing, what else can stop you? Okay. We'll try one more question. It's an interesting one. Okay. First of all, I'm not comfortable with the minus. Should you always flip it? No, I am not comfortable. That's all. But again, there's a hint there in the fraction. There's a fraction, which means the hint is the denominator. What? 4. So try to write the base in terms of power 4. What power 4 is 16? Ask yourself that question. What power 4 is 81? You'll be able to solve it. Okay. So if you want to keep the minus as, okay, let's do one thing. In this question, let's keep the minus as it is and let's solve. Let's see if there's any difference. Okay. So what to the power 4 is 16? 2 power 4. What to the power 4 is 81? 3 power. So can I write it as 2 by 3 to the power 4 into minus 3 by 4 as it is? Into, copy paste as it is. The hint here is 2. Which means, ask yourself a question. What square is 49? 7 square. What square is 9? 3 square. So it becomes 7 by 3 square into 3 by 2 as it is, divided by, here, what's the hint? 3 cube. What cube is 743? What cube is 216? 7 cube is 343. 6 cube is 216 into 2 by 3. Gets cancelled. Now life becomes much more simpler. Okay. Now, minus 3 is there. I am not comfortable. I want to change the sign of the power. So I flip the base. So the base becomes 3 by 2. The power becomes positive. Okay. Into 7 by 3 cube. Okay. Now listen, one more crazy thing. Here, there is no minus. Okay. But there's a division. I don't like division. Okay. You want to convert everything in terms of multiplication. Can you do it? You can do it. You blindly put a into. If you're changing the division to multiplication, we again flip. Whenever I'm flipping, I'm only talking about the base, not the power. So the power remains as it is. The base flips, becomes 6 by 7. Now, why did I do it? Is it necessary? Not a necessity at all. But it looks more sophisticated right now. All into. Okay. Now let's start solving. I'll ask you a question. 3 by 2 whole cube is nothing but 3 cube by 2 cube into 7 cube by 3 cube into 6 square by 7 square. Correct? No. So 3 cube gets cancelled. 7 cube and 7 square also gets cancelled. The answer will be 7. So the answer is 7 times 6 square is 36 divided by 2 cube is 8. Now if you ask me why didn't I solve the power? Not required. Direct you can do it because even numbers. 4 times 2, 4 times 9. 7 times 9 is 63 by 2. This is your answer. This is just the part 1 of this concept called as exponents, where I taught you guys how to flip, how to use the rules here. Okay. This is not the end. We'll obviously have to solve more questions based on it. Stay tuned for that in the next video.
Anything else, Professor?
Subscribe.